What a bullet! Scott Arfield! He's been threatening that recently, and all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. Here's Rory now. On the outside, decent.
Barnes! He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly, finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell, saved by the keeper.
Burnley won it to the end. That is magnificent. They deserve that.
Only by Paul Patella, off for a hat-trick.
He's got it. Hat-trick for Nathan Teller. Oh, he's on fire at the minute. 3-0 Burnley. It's Nathan Teller's day.
And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby. Here's Benson, and he go on the outside, comes inside, have a shot.
Oh, the goal. Manuel Benson once more. That is top class. Burnley have done it. Fantastic. Clarence deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome along to the latest episode of the Turfcast podcast pre-game show with me, Joe Redmond, ahead of our game this weekend down in that there London at Selhurst Park as Burnley take on Crystal Palace in the Premier League Saturday, 3 o'clock. Now, don't worry, those of you watching on YouTube will have already noticed I am on my own. This is a pre-game show with a fan. I have got a Crystal Palace fan waiting in the wings. I will bring him in just a few minutes. But first of all, I just wanted to talk to you more about Burnley stuff, so it just didn't feel right having a Palace fan on at this stage. Obviously, the discontent among fans has been growing a bit recently, and you can tell by the socials and just the way social media was on Saturday. It weren't a nice place to be, Twitter Clarets, let's be honest. And those of you that stayed logged on, more credit to you, because I just couldn't be bothered. Put a couple of tweets up. And then just left it. Didn't go down too well. Some people obviously just can't help themselves. But that's not what I want to talk to you about. Obviously, the discontent amongst fans is growing. That's obviously clear. I think everybody can see that. Other pages and other podcasts have now flicked a company out. I myself personally, I'm still companying, but Neil, obviously, who does the full-time show a lot with us and is a valued member of the team here at Turfcast, he's changed now. He's company out. But it's interesting because there's some things that happened this week that have just annoyed me a little bit, and I just want to sort of like talk to you about them. And the first of all was the company quotes. Now, he was asked this week by a BBC journalist about certain players like Manuel Benson and, of course, Anas Sarore. Who else is there? Manuel Benson, Anas Sarore. Obviously, Sarore is now on loan at Hull. Muric as well. Just Cullen. Players from last year that did well last year that haven't been given much game time this year. And this was from a BBC Radio Lancashire journalist, or I just think it's called BBC Lancashire or BBC Sport Lancashire now. They're kind of like rebranded, haven't they? But this was put on their Twitter. And he was asked why certain players, like I said, like Manuel Benson, hadn't been given much game time this season. And he said, I try not to focus on individuals. It's about the collective. I know as well that a lot of players who played last season are playing this season. A lot. I think one player started against Arsenal on Saturday that played last weekend, and that was Josh Brownhill, and he's been dire. Everybody has had an opportunity to show themselves at this level. Have they? Manuel Benson's played, 73, 75 minutes? Anas Sarore, I don't know the exact minutes of all these players. The only reason I know that one is because I saw someone tweet it. I think it was Ryan Merton. Thanks for that, Ryan. Anas Sarore's probably had around similar. With Anas, you kind of get it because I do think he's played a little bit more, but there was that. Well, you don't get it because I don't think he should have been loaned out and should be playing. Or at least give him more of a chance. But there was that silly red card against Man City, and I just feel like company at that point was fed up with him already. But then obviously Muric as well. Obviously Muric hasn't played any Premier League football, has he? Off the top of my head, apologies if that's wrong. Obviously he's had a couple of games in the cup competitions. But I look at them quotes and I just think, what who are you trying to kid? Like, we know they've not played that much this season, Vincent. You don't need to lie to us. You don't need to sit there and say they've been given enough time, because Muric obviously hasn't. I don't think that Benson has. And the fact that he's been convinced, like he wasn't convinced to stay, as we've said on the show a few times, but the fact that he's still here after all the palaver about him potentially going, but then him being, well, in him staying and Anas going out and him still not getting played. Like, I just think, who are you kidding? Like, why are you saying just? I don't expect. Somebody gave me a bit of criticism when I when I questioned this on Twitter, and I can't remember what the comment was now. I'll just quickly find it if I can find it. But I remember somebody saying, here we go. Somebody said, like, what do you expect him to say? Here it is now. Like, it's from David Brooks, logical claret. Not going to come out and say Benson and Trezor have been performing poorly in training with constant injuries during the sessions. Is he like, why not? Like, I'm not expecting him to criticise the players and say they've been playing in training, but don't lie to us. Like, the fact that it's annoyed me so much to the point where I'm actually talking about this on my own, which is just something I never do on here anymore. It's just a blatant lie. It's just like he's taking us for mugs, in my opinion, on this. Like, it's just a blatant lie. Like, obviously Trezor there as well. Like, I'd forgotten about Trezor. We signed him for all this money in the summer. Now he's not even on the bench. Like, and obviously we've had the news about, well, we haven't had the news confirmed yet about Ramsey, but it's looking like, you know, he's going to be out for a while as well. So there's all these players that aren't getting game time that should be, in my opinion, and especially the amount of injuries had this season, and they still can't get game time. I don't know. It just annoyed me a bit, if I'm honest with you, because I just feel like he's taking us for mugs slightly with that comment, and it annoyed me a little bit. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I might be overreacting. I know a few people were on a similar ilk to me in that and did feel something similar, but I don't know. I just feel like it's a little bit silly from Vincent, that comment. I just feel like he's, like I said, I just feel like he's taking this for mugs a little bit. Like, you don't need to lie to us. You don't need to, like, we know they haven't played enough, Vincent. Like, we can see it with our eyes. The stats are there for everybody to see. One more thing. Obviously, I will bring Dean in a second. Zeki Amdouni, he's been deleting Instagram quotes. And again, it might not seem much to a lot of you, but it was something that I saw on Twitter, and I just thought I'll mention it because it's another thing this week that's just rubbing people up the wrong way a little bit. And this disconnect between the fans and the players that a lot of fans have spoken about this season. Sam and Liam both mentioned it on the most recent full-time show. Sam's been quite vocal on it as well. Like, a lot of people, to be fair, a lot of people have turned around and said they just don't feel a connection with this current side. And I get it. I mean, I understand why you would feel that way. But now Zeki Amdouni, like, people, obviously players put pictures up and stuff and people comment on it. That's how Instagram and social media works. Part of the reason why Daishi didn't like it. Obviously, he put his usual picture up saying, we will try and do better. You know, the usual spiel that a player puts out when his team loses. And a couple of lads have had these comments deleted. A couple of Burnley fans have had these comments deleted. Now, obviously, if this comment was abusive, I'd understand it. And anybody who ever sends abusive comments to players, you're a moron. So, yeah, I'd understand it if that was the case, but it isn't. It was a tweet that brought my attention to it. I did retweet it, and it ended up being seen by 42,000 people, this tweet. It was from Gav_BFC. He said, Zeki Amdouni deleted my comment on his Instagram post. All I said was, it's not good enough, Zeki. No fight and no passion. Why should the fans make an effort if the players don't? What's wrong with that comment? There is nothing wrong with that comment. All Zeki Amdouni is bothered about is himself looking good if he's deleting them comments. It's just bizarre. Like, he doesn't want people, you know, his friends, or any potential future employer at the end of this season seeing these comments for whatever it just don't make any sense. Like, why is he deleting them comments? If it was abusive, I'd understand. And then BFC_Tom H, TH, Tom H, he said, same for me, commented, it's all right saying this, but we need to say it on the pitch Saturday wasn't good enough. Cheek of him to essentially say our thoughts and opinions aren't something which should be heard. Completely agree. And that is exactly it. He's not bothered about the fact that tells me he's not bothered about the fans. Like, he's not bothered about how we feel. Like, again, some of you might think I'm overreacting. Let me know in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube, if you think I am. But I just think that's going to increase the disconnect between the fans and the players. And now I know people at the club watch this, so tell them to stop deleting comments. Some fans might disagree and just think, shut up, Joy, that it's their Instagram, they'll do what they want. Fair enough. I just think you're going to create this disconnect even more. And in my opinion, Zeki shouldn't even be starting anyway. And I'm not saying that just because of this. I've said that obviously on the full-time show and in other shows as well. But enough for me, waxing lyrical on my own, talking rubbish. You're probably all fed up of me already, and you probably all think both of them opinions were absolute trash. As I've said, let me know in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube. But before we get started into the main part of the pre-game show, I just want to remind you all that this episode of the pre-game show is sponsored by Green King Sport, where football is more than a game. Green King Sport venues are showing every single televised Burnley fixture over the 23-24 season. And with more than 900 sports pubs across the UK, it doesn't matter where you're based, you can watch every single minute of the action. And a reminder that if you download the Green King Sport app, you won't just get 10% off all drinks anytime there's a match on the TV. But this month only, there's also thousands of pints and free pints of Guinness to be won and the chance to win one of 6 holidays. So it's definitely worth checking out right now. I will bring in D. He's a Palace fan from the Back of the Nest podcast. And of course, they've got a new manager this week, Oliver Glasner, who's come from Frankfurt. So let's see how he's feeling ahead of the game. And as promised, there he is. It's D from Back of the Nest, the Crystal Palace podcast and YouTube channel. You'll have seen him before if you're used to the channel. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. I'm much better now. Let's just say that.
Yeah, well, there we go. Obviously, just mentioned it there in the introduction. But new manager, Oliver Glasner. Am I pronouncing that right?
Glasner? Yeah, Oliver Glasner. Oliver Glasner. I mean,
man, I butcher a Steve Smith, so I butcher any name. So, yeah, I'm used to it. People will be used to it. But, I do think it's a bit of a coup. Obviously, done well at Frankfurt. That's his He's had other jobs, but that's his standout job at Frankfurt. Obviously, winning the Europa League, beating West Ham on the way, a very good semi-final 2-legged win against West Ham a couple of years ago, and of course beating Rangers in the final. You must be delighted with that. I look at that and think that's a really good appointment. That.
Yeah, not only just that, it is what he's done previous to Frankfurt as well at Wolfsburg. He pushed that club up the table as well, and he got the best out of, funny enough, Weghorst, that we all know.
If he's got the best out of Weghorst, then, mate, he's an absolute genius, trust me.
Yeah, and that's why the Weghorst hype started in the first place, because of our manager, Glasner, who got the best out of him. But yeah, look, overall, we needed a different approach. We needed it's just not only the manager, it's the coaching setup as well. We had our goalkeeper coach doing set pieces, and surprise, surprise, we've been statistically and by the eye test the worst team in set pieces so far this season. Goals scored, and I think goals conceded as well. We've just had a very
to be worse than us, mate.
What was that?
It takes some doing to be worse than us at set pieces, mate.
Well, when you have a goalkeeper coach working on set pieces, what do you really expect? So we've had problems. This is a new start. It's probably the most exciting manager we've had since getting promoted to the Premier League in terms of what he's achieved and how he works with younger players and what we want to do with our academy as well. So overall, everything on paper, it sounds exciting. Of course, we haven't seen him yet. Manager game, funny enough, it's going to be against you lot, the first game, but he is at Palace. Pictures of him at the stadium, at the training ground, were revealed yesterday. He was at the game against Everton watching the team on. And yeah, look, overall, we are excited. I think finally Palace fans are looking forward to the game on Saturday. Before this announcement, it was so toxic. It was incredibly toxic that I have not seen Palace on this level before. We've had banners, we've had this, we've had that, we're booing. Like, it was really bad. But now everyone is genuinely looking forward to the game against Burnley on Saturday. And I think the fans will be up for it.
Obviously, I mentioned there he won the Europa League with Frankfurt a couple of seasons ago. That's. I'll be honest, that's all I've seen of him. I don't watch the Bundesliga. Well, no, I did watch a bit in the Bundesliga when I worked for a streaming company that streamed the Bundesliga, but I don't anymore. But I didn't see too much of him other than the Europa League run. Obviously, you'll have probably done your due diligence to obviously having a Palace podcast. What sort of style can we expect Palace to play in at the weekend under your new boss?
The style is not like it can vary. So in terms of the system, it's most likely going to be 5 at the back, which can change to 3 with centre halves at times pushing forward into the midfield to create overloads. It won't be a low block. It might be a mid block with pressing triggers. So it's not going to be just full force, running for 90 minutes. It's going to be, there'll be moments of the game where we'll press. There'll be moments where we won't.
Okay.
It all depends on what the opposition is doing. So I don't think we'll, of course, because of 5 at the back, there will be no wingers, which will be interesting to see. It'll be 1 striker, 2 players behind the striker. I think it'll be similar in a way to what we saw against Everton. And funny enough, the manager then, the assistant manager, Paddy McCarthy, he said that he had no conversations with Glasner, but the system is kind of what we can expect.
Yeah.
And you know what, the players after the Everton game, I was actually pleased with Palace's performance in a very long time. Even though we didn't win the game, we actually, for good chunks of the game, we actually looked like a Premier League side. So yeah, I think you'll be, trying to get the defense sorted. I think we'll be solid defensively, and it's fast, direct approach. Try to hit teams on the counter. So that's what we're going to try and do. But of course, it's the first game. He hasn't even had a week to work with the team. So how quickly he can implement those ideas, only time will tell.
What's it like in terms of possession? Would you expect Palace to have a lot of the ball or let Burnley have it, do you think?
It's hard to say because it all depends on how he sees this game. Because we haven't seen enough. Well, we haven't seen anything of Glasner yet.
Yeah.
I think in terms of, when we keep the ball, of course, we're not going to just hoof it forward. We're going to try to keep possession. But I suspect that, based on what I've heard about his style of play, he might favour Burnley having a ball a bit more in this game. But then again, it's a home game, and we've heard that he likes to press at certain moments, and he likes the mid-block. So I don't know, Joe. I'm not going to even lie. I don't even know. It just depends on how we've used the game, because I haven't seen a single game of Glasner as a Palace manager, because let's not forget, we're missing some key players. We don't even know if Eze is going to be back. That will be significant. Gahey in defense. So it all depends on, loads of factors for him to make that decision on whether, we should be letting Burnley keep the ball or not. But I suspect I'll lean towards him not wanting Burnley to keep the ball as much, but it wouldn't be like full out press as well. I think he'll be sensible in his approach.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because obviously we can't really do our due diligence. I'm not talking about the fans. I mean, obviously the company and Bellamy and the rest of the coaching staff, they probably won't know how you're going to play. It's just going to be a bit of an anomaly. No one's going to know how you're going to play. So the reason why I asked about possession is because I feel that Burnley are better with the ball than they are without it. Simply because they tend to get pressed. Not pressed, overrun when they don't have the ball. You're only as good as your last game. Obviously, in the last game was Arsenal, and we got overrun in all areas in that match, but it was Arsenal. And as I've said on your show, if we just recorded, obviously no disrespect, but I don't think Palace will obviously be as good as Arsenal. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we can play a little bit better than what we did at the weekend. You mentioned there you've got a few injuries to key players. Eze, Elise, and Gay all potentially out, but some of them could be back. What's the situation with them?
So the rumors are that Eze could be back for this game and Gahey, but we're not too sure yet. And we have to also be sensible with bringing those players back a bit too early, because that was the problem on the Roy. Some of these players got re-injuries and we're forcing them to play. Elise 100% will be out. He'll be out till the end of March, early April, maybe longer, maybe shorter. So he's definitely out for this game. But Eze and Gahey will be a massive boost as well as having a new manager there. So I guess only time will tell. We'll see. And plus, on top of that, we've also got a new club doctor. So it's like a whole new change at the club. We've got a new doctor because our current doctor, previous doctor, he went to Arsenal. So that happened last week as well as the manager.
Interesting. You get a new tea lady as well. Might as well just
completely
change everything.
Everyone, we got everyone that's new. The only people that's staying really is Ray Lewis has left the club. Of course, with Roy leaving, he was going to leave. Paddy McCarthy, the guy who took charge of the Everton game, he's still at the club, and also our goalkeeper coach Dean Kiley, he will also be there. But Dean Kiley, yeah. We've got 3 to 4 new coaches in total. Which is an improvement to the 3 that we had under Roy, and one of them being the goalkeeper coach sorting out the set pieces, which is not really that's just let's just say it based on stats and based on what we see, that's not what he's good at. Let's just make sure he goes back to being a goalkeeper coach rather than a set piece coach. as well.
Well, you can have our set piece coach, mate, because he's come under quite a lot of criticism, which I do think is quite funny. Like no other fan base would be like, this set piece coach is rubbish, and it's quite funny that Burnley fans are just calling the set piece. Someone even found his LinkedIn and started posting links to his LinkedIn. I couldn't believe it. Which brings me on nicely because you mentioned earlier before this change, it was getting quite toxic at Palace. Like you had banners of Hodgson out and all that sort of stuff, which I did see recently. Thankfully, we've not got that far yet, and I hope we never do. I don't like the thoughts of banners and stuff. Like I'm not criticising Palace. Like when any fan base does it, I don't like the thought. I just think it's counterproductive. But recently, it started to get a little bit toxic at Burnley, mainly on the socials. I got a bit of abuse at the weekend. Some other people, other creators did. Instead of taking it out on the players, they took it out on the creators, which again is, well, it's not counterproductive. That's the wrong word. It's just ridiculous. But my point is, obviously, it's not gone well for Burnley this season. I remember asking you at the start of the season your thoughts on the way that Burnley have tried to change everything. They've changed the style of play. They've changed the entire ethos of the football club, brought in different kinds of players, different kind of manager. Obviously not gone well this season, though. And I think fans of opposition clubs do find it a little bit weird that Company's not really under any pressure. What are your thoughts on Company, how this season's gone, and the fact that he doesn't seem to be under any pressure at all from the Burnley board?
I think Company's still learning. He's a very young manager, and people tend to forget that. You had a great championship season, but I think there's a few problems at Burnley this season, and one of them is that you brought in some great, exciting young players, but you haven't got really Premier League experience. And for a side that just got promoted from the Championship, that wants to stay up, I think you're lacking a bit of experience in the squad, as well as your manager lacking that experience, of course, managing in the Premier League. Even though recently I have seen a few adjustments in terms of like the way that you play. It's not just we're going to press you for 90 minutes. Like you can have a bit more of the ball at times, which I think not in terms of results, but it has kind of helped you with the style of play. So he has tried to make adjustments. But at this point, to be fair, Joe, you sack Company. It might sound a bit hypocritical because we've done the same with Roy, but I think we're in different situations. But what do you really aim to achieve? Like, who do you bring in as a manager to try and keep you up? Because you are down there. We got rid of our manager because we were worried that we were going to, plunge down and keep going down because of how things were going, like on and off the pitch. So we had to make that decision. Whereas you lot have to bring in a manager that is going to try and keep you up. And if you don't stay up, then we've known that Company in the Championship is a proven manager. He done it for you lot last season. You've got that hope with Company that you can get promoted again. So you have to be sensible with your approach. It is weird in a way that Company hasn't really got that much slack. Neutrals have been given a bit more recently, but there's been this narrative that Company, great young manager, and I'm not saying he won't be fantastic, but this season he has made some mistakes as well, and it's kind of gone over people's heads. Like it's just been other teams that's been in discussion. But then again, you don't get rid of him because if you do, it's too late now. We're going into March, and I don't know who comes in. Maybe Big Sam, but then Big Sam till the end of the season. That's what they tried to do with Leeds, but. Like stuff like I don't know if Burnley fans would want that, and it's not even a guarantee that you'll stay up. If it was, then that'd be fantastic. But if you go down, then you lost Company, you lost your manager that got you up, and you're back to square one.
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather Platt shit than have Big Sam. To be honest with you, mate, I've gone over it on the full
managers because all the managers are finished. Like you can't have Roy back. Like that can't happen. You can't. I don't know what managers
send him over edge.
The typical. Oh, he'll keep us up. Like Dash is at a job, so he's not going to leave Everton. So it's like, who do you bring in? Who is that manager that is going to take you out? Because you are down there, you need to get wins. Like there's no other ways about it. And I don't know who's really out there for you to pull out the wins. But then again, it might be the people who run the football club to find that manager, and maybe they've done a mistake there. But I don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I just think it's the wrong time. I've said it a million times on the pod, so I won't go into it too much. But yeah, just agree. I just agree with you, basically. It's the wrong time. Nobody's going to come in now and keep us up. I know he listens to the show, so apologies to Jordan, but I did see somebody tweet at the weekend saying, get Gary Rowett in. I was like, what? It's just...
It shows the desperation, though. It shows the desperation right now. Like, people who want to change will change, because it's not going well, right? With Company and the results. But then again, the fact that you're not saying that you really want Company out kind of shows that, that that you probably think that you're going down. But then again, you do have that hope with Company that he'll bring you back up, and maybe you don't repeat the same mistakes. Company still learning on the job. Maybe he learns from his mistakes, and then next season, the season after that, if you get promoted again, then you have a bigger and better chance of staying up.
Yeah, for me, keep with him. We're going down anyway. If after 10 games we're 20th in the Championship, then get rid of him. But for now, yeah, stick by him. Obviously, I want to get into predictions, expected teams and that sort of thing. But just before we do, I just want to remind you all that Burnley's sleeve sponsor for the 23-24 season are about to unveil something special. The limited edition Burnley FC Uphold card set to launch soon. You can easily add funds to your card and unlock its perks, whether you're spending at home or away. The card lets you spend in any currency, anywhere globally. It's accepted everywhere MasterCard is, without foreign transaction fees, and offers a competitive exchange rate for added ease and security. You can pay with Apple Pay or Google Play. Uphold values community, demonstrated by their pledge to donate £5 to Burnley FC in the community every time somebody uses the card for the first time. Secure your spot on the waiting list today at www.uphold.com/Burnley FC. Terms and conditions apply. And keep your eyes out on the Burnley socials today, Wednesday. You probably listen to this on Thursday, to be fair. And today on Thursday, I've messed that up. On Wednesday and Thursday, because Uphold, alongside Burnley and ourselves, will be launching a competition to win tickets for the Burnley-Bournemouth game soon. Right then, D. Expected teams then. How are you expecting Palace to set up? I know, again, it's a kind of a difficult question with the new manager. But how are you expecting Palace? And basically, what the answer I want to get is your players on the fringes. Like, are you expecting them to play? Like, would you be putting them in your team?
No, not necessarily. I think Glasner would have been happy with what he saw against Everton. He was at that game as well. So I think it'll be Sam Johnson in goal. I think we'll go for five defenders at the back. We'll have Chris Richards. That's the thing. If Gahey's fit, Gahey will most likely start ahead of Joe Ward, and then it'll be Joachim Andersen. And then right back, we'll be right wing back. We have Daniel Munoz. So finally, Nathaniel Klein and Joe Ward days are over. We didn't have him last time we faced you. That's a new signing. Left wing back, Tyrick Mitchell. In midfield, it'll be Adam Walton, another new player, which I'm very, very excited about.
I hope somebody snaps him. I hope somebody snaps him, mate. I hope somebody snaps him.
I just realized right now, Adam Walton, and then Jefferson Lerma. And then potentially Eze as like the midfield. And then so we've got 5-3, and then potentially Edouard and Mateta as well up front. But yeah, it's very hard to say right now. I don't know exactly what formation he's going to play in the first place. I'm just doing a wild guess.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you mentioned Walton, actually, because I do actually rate him. I'm joking aside, I don't want him to get an injury at the weekend. That's obviously a joke for any Blackburn fans find this and crucify me. He's a very good player. I was surprised you spent the amount of money you spent on him, but he's going to be very good. He's good now, and he's going to be very good.
Yeah, it looks I love him already.
I obviously hate his history, and I hate where he was born, and I hate he supports as well, because he's actually a Blackburn lad. So actually, I'll take it back. I hope someone snaps him for this game, but he doesn't get an injury. We can just say that one. Just so he doesn't score against us.
Watch when he scores the screamer now.
Honestly, he'll be well up for it, mate. Don't worry. He will be well up. He'll be shooting from range, man. He will. He'll be well up for it.
I didn't realise.
Yeah, and it'll just be another knife in the back as well of this season, won't it? Just be another knife in the back as well. I really can't be arsed with that. I forgot about that myself until you mentioned it. But yeah, I do rate him as a good player. But yeah. Anyway, we've done expected teams, predictions for the match. Then I'll do mine first, because I know sometimes people come in here and they get a bit panicky. Like, I don't want to predict a Burnley defeat on a Burnley pod. Every Burnley fan's probably predicting a Burnley defeat. It's interesting because yes, you're not as good as Arsenal. Yes, you're not as good as Liverpool and City. We've played them all recently. Played quite well against City in parts, and pretty much the better side in the first half against Liverpool. Dreadful against Arsenal. Dreadful in the first half against Fulham as well, but really good in the second half against Fulham. So it depends which Burnley turns up. But in the eyes of the fans and the mind of the fans, you're only as good as your last game. As I said already, we were dreadful in that last game. I saw no fight from the players, no determination, and I just can't see us. You're going to be up for it. The Selhurst crowd will be up for it. It'll be packed. Everyone will be there wanting Glasner to get a win in his first game, and I can't see anything other than a Palace win, if I'm honest with you, mate. Sorry, lads and lasses, but 2-0 to Palace, I think, for me. What's your thoughts, D?
I'm going to go for 1-0 Palace. It's just the uncertainty factor. But then again, I think the Selhurst crowd will be up for it. Even some of the players, I mean, even before Glasner was there, Joachim Andersen, who's been struggling a lot this season in defence against Everton, he had one of his best games of the season and he looked up for it already. So it's just giving a boost to the whole football club. Glasner coming in with a new coaching setup. So, yeah, I think we'll be up for it. And I'll 100% take 1-0, 3 points. It'll be a brilliant start, but yeah, let's see. You never know with Palace.
I mean, yeah, well, you never know. Like I said to you on your show, like the last time I felt this down was in the lead up to the Fulham game at Fulham, and that's obviously the last time we got a win. So who knows? We could just come out of nowhere and get a win like we did against Fulham that time. But I think a lot of Burnley fans will be shocked. We have got a run of favourable games, but people have been saying, we've got easier games. Like, there's no easy game. They are genuinely one of the worst, if not the worst team in the league this year, especially on current form, because Sheffield United, all right, they are dreadful as well, but did get a win recently against Luton. Just before we wrap it up, mate, I know you're desperate to go, but do you want to let everybody know where they can find you and digest any Palace content if they want to?
Yeah, Back of the Nest on YouTube and all the social media platforms. We'll also have Joe's preview out where he gives the Burnley perspective on the channel, so make sure to check that out. And also thank you for having me on, and hopefully we talk again next season. But
we'll get you in cup, mate. Who knows? We might get you in cup.
It's still a long season. You never know. A few wins, momentum, and we'll see what happens. But best of luck for the rest of the season, apart from Saturday, of course.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Same goes to you. I do have one final question for you, though. Wout Weghorst, he's got 18 months left on his contract. Do you fancy a cheeky 15 million bid in the summer, please, mate?
Nah, we're good. That era is over. That was over in Germany. I think Glasner's going to create his own workhorse now. So, yeah, we'll be fine.
Fair enough, Dave. Well, thank you for coming on, and same goes to you. Good luck for the rest of the season. Not that you'll need it in terms of staying up. I think there's 3 worse teams than yourselves, but, of course, apart from Saturday.
Okay. All right. Thank you.